Still calling your congressman? Waiting on hold? Hoping someone took your message?
Thank you for calling.
There's a better way to do this. The MAHA Legislative Tracker lets you browse every MAHA bill. Pick the ones that matter to you and send a letter to your rep with a single click. Search federal, by state, or by the issues you care about most. Take 60 seconds and make it count. Your voice can make America healthy again at mahaaction.org.
There was a time when the news delivered truth,
It still seems like a dream.
when integrity was paramount,
I cannot contend that I have always been right or wise.
and trusted voices guided a nation.
How do you measure such an astonishing moment?
Today, the headlines are blurred, the signal lost in the noise of corporate agendas and paid narratives.
Vocal anti-vaxxer.
Deranged lies.
It is humiliating.
What happened to the truth? It hasn't disappeared. It's simply moved. The MAHA Report brings you unfiltered, independent journalism covering the issues of the Make America Healthy Again movement. Rediscover the facts and reclaim the truth. Subscribe now at themahareport.com.
Welcome to the MAHA Media Hub, and welcome to the MAHA Revolution. I'm Tony Lyons, president of MAHA Action. It's been a huge week for MAHA. It's been a week that demonstrates that MAHA is not just about one aspect of making us healthy again, but about every element that, taken together, will make us healthier, happier, and a more prosperous nation, and that will make it easier and more affordable to be healthy. I want to start by congratulating Zach Lahn, the likely future governor of Iowa, for his incredible victory last night in the Iowa Republican gubernatorial primary. Thanks to the courage and leadership of President Trump and Secretary Kennedy, the MAHA movement is alive and strong. Zach made transitioning from toxic chemicals the cornerstone of his campaign and won this election decisively with strong farmer support. Family farms are closing at a record pace based on our current agricultural system. And Iowa farmers face some of the highest cancer rates of any area in the world. For the health of our children and the continued financial viability of farmers, we must move to a more regenerative agricultural system. I'm confident that Zach will win big in November and become a truly great governor for all people of his state and for the whole country. He's a proud MAHA advocate who will do great things in Iowa while setting a positive example for the nation and the world. Now, we all know that at MAHA, food is medicine. That's foundational. But MAHA has never been just about what's on your plate. It's about what's on your back, what you wear every single day. That's exactly why USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins just rolled out the Great American Cotton Plan, with Secretary Kennedy behind it too. This initiative is putting $21 billion into our domestic cotton industry. This is about bringing our textile industry back to life. We're talking about more than 120,000 jobs. And thinking about it, we don't want plastics in our food, our water, or our soil, so why would we want them sitting against our skin all day, every day? Synthetic fabrics actually shed tiny plastic fibers when you wear them and wash them. And we end up breathing those in and even swallowing them. And on top of that, a lot of synthetic textiles are made with stuff like dyes, flame retardants, stain-resistant coatings, antimicrobial treatments, some of which have been linked to cancer or to messing with your hormones. Cotton is the answer here, and this administration is rewriting the playbook on bringing textiles home. So to dig into all of this, we've got Michael Abboud from the USDA and Buddy Allen, President and CEO of the American Cotton Shippers Association. And then there's the historic action on Lyme disease. When Secretary Kennedy spoke about this awful bioweapon last week in New Hampshire, he made a promise. The days of gaslighting people who are suffering from Lyme, that's over. Instead, real research, real investment, real solutions are all on the way. And it's part of an historic package to finally take on a disease that's been so tough to diagnose and treat. To break down what this big announcement actually means, we've got Dana Parrish, a Lyme disease advocate and best-selling author, as well as Dr. Eric Berg. MAHA has always been about medical freedom and parental rights to protect our children from harm. This is what we said in February. Well, we told our politicians that our polling data is unambiguous in its revelation that a plurality of Americans support parental choice, and many share our concerns about the negative effects of vaccines. People want to decide for themselves and for their families which path to take for their health. They don't want politicians dictating their health decisions, and they certainly don't want those decisions forced on them. President Trump has been crystal clear on this. We need to actually study both the types and the number of vaccines that we're giving to our kids. This isn't about dogma. It's about science. It's about critical thinking, parents' rights, and above all, it's about freedom. So we're fully behind the president's executive order, which tells the CDC and the ACIP to take a fresh look at the current vaccine schedule and build in more flexibility for parents and their doctors. Dr. Malone and Senator Rand Paul are going to join us to share their thoughts on the EO and, really explain to us what happened there. That's what gold standard science is in action. And gold standard science is also about supporting the reality that drug-free, whole-person preventative care is often superior to highly invasive treatments and over-medicalized approaches of the old allopathic establishment. So this is why I'm thrilled to share some historic news with everyone on this call. Today, MAHA Center announced the launch of the MAHA Chiropractic Hub, a coordinated national partnership bringing together MAHA Center, MAHA Action, and the whole chiropractic profession, national associations, state organizations, practitioners, educators, researchers, and patient advocates. Together, we're going to continue to fight against chronic disease and give Americans a real alternative to a system that prioritizes treatment over prevention. To fill us in on this incredible new venture, we've got our Strategic Initiatives Chair, Leigh Merinoff, the Hub's Executive Director, Brandon Hoffman, and pediatric chiropractor, Dr. Tony Ebel. Then Dr. Oz will update us on what's happening at CMS, and Dr. Joel Bohemier will join us to discuss potential elimination of the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health. First, we're going to hear from the winner of last night's Iowa gubernatorial Republican primary, Zach Lahn. He's a sixth-generation Iowan, father, husband, farmer, educator, pilot, and businessman. He's the MAHA-endorsed candidate for Iowa governor who's standing up for farmers and regenerative agriculture. So I just want to welcome Zach. And Zach, congratulations. It's just incredible news, and we're thrilled.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you to all the MAHA warriors. I just have to say, I am just so grateful right now for all the work that the people on this call did to help us get across the finish line. It was a nail-biter last night, but I will tell you, this win was a win for the MAHA movement, and it's something I'm ecstatic about. As we went into this, the very first endorsement we actually had was of MAHA, and I think we were actually the very first endorsed candidate, and I believe this is our natural base of support. But what we're seeing here now, I believe, is a playbook that can be won as long as people really believe in these principles of welding together this economic populism to bring things back to our states and back to our country, along with the MAHA movement to have cleaner water, lower cancer rates, healthier soil. And that's what we're fighting for. A lot of the things that we've talked about, things that we should be doing in the state of Iowa, where we can lead on agriculture and lead on creating those off ramps that Bobby Kennedy talks about for regenerative farming practices to get farmers less reliant on these chemicals. And also the other side of this too is to help them make more money. No farmer wants to spend more money on these products. And as we can incentivize those, we can help them make more money, live longer, healthier lives, and pass something down to their kids, which is what we all want in the first place. And so that, I believe Iowa can now lead on this. We're going into a general election that's going to be very competitive. However, we're watching a coalescing happening now, and we're really changing the narrative on what we should be doing, not just with agriculture, but with health and wellness for our kids especially, and for us as adults too. So my big message to everybody here is that I just cannot tell you how grateful we are. I saw all the outpouring of support on social media after we won and before we won. And we saw groups getting in to support us as we're getting in the final days of the election, and it paid off. We had a giant win for the MAHA movement. And as the next candidate in the general election for the Republicans, I'm going to keep running on these exact issues. And the beauty of these issues is they're not partisan. They're not left or right. These issues are Iowa issues. They're America issues. They're issues that affect every single one of us. And I believe that message is going to carry us into the general, and we're going to make Iowa a model state for the MAHA movement. And that's my commitment to all of you. And so my big message today is just thank you. I'm still in awe. A lot of you probably watched the election results coming in last night, and we saw as we got county after county, even in the rural areas, flipping over to our campaign, which other people thought couldn't be done. Everybody said this wasn't going to happen, and the establishment said it wasn't going to happen. We are out fundraised. We had them against us. We were told to wait our turn, but the people of Iowa spoke, and in large part, we have you all to thank for that. So that's my message today. I'm going to take my kids to the swimming pool in our small town as a little bit of a little retreat, and thank you to them for all that they did to do this with us. And I just want to say thank you to the MAHA Warriors. I cannot wait to fight alongside you to make the top ag state in the country also the top MAHA state in the country. That's my commitment to you, and thank you for your support.
Thanks, Zach. Last night for so many of us, and, we were all texting back and forth. I mean, this was a dream for us. This is what we hoped for. This is what we worked for. This is what we all wanted. I mean, this is what anybody who believes in MAHA wanted. So we're just thrilled for you and thrilled for what it means for all of us. So thank you for everything you've done. Thanks for making this possible. And thanks for showing us what is possible when we all come together.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Michael Abboud, and he is the Deputy Chief of Staff for Public Affairs at the USDA. And he previously served Trump in the EPA and also in the Department of Public Affairs. And great to have you on here, Michael. Thanks for coming by. Michael, we're not hearing
Sorry
you.
about that. All right, can you hear me now? Yep. Tony,
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me on. You guys have been a tremendous help. As you mentioned, just last week, Thursday, Secretary Rollins was out in Arizona where she unveiled the Great American Cotton Plan. And there's really a couple key components to it, but a big part of it and why I'm talking with you here today is the Plant Not Plastic campaign that USDA is going to be promoting more fully. As you mentioned at the beginning, a lot of these synthetic materials that are being sold right now end up turning into microplastics, whether through the wash or through wear and tear, and that does end up through your skin or being breathed in, whatever may end up happening with that. There's another alternative available, and that is by going through and getting 100% cotton materials where you don't have to worry about those concerns. The reason why this has been so important for Secretary Rollins, President Trump, and everyone else is our American cotton farmers have lost ground over the last few decades. America used to be the cotton king, where we were the top exporter of cotton throughout the world, and we have lost that title to Brazil as they have ramped up production, and we have been slashing production here in America, we've also seen an increase of synthetic clothing come over from abroad, in many cases from adversarial countries. This really is not only a Make America Healthy Again push, but also a Make America Great Again push, where we're able to revitalize the cotton industry here in America, and also put forward safer alternative options for people to clothe themselves in 100% American-made cotton. I also just want to highlight some of the other things we are working on here at USDA. Earlier today, Secretary Rollins was with Secretary Kennedy down in Dowswell, Virginia. They were at a farm that has been converted into a beef operation. And it was really impressive to kind of see them working together to promote locally raised beef from a small family ranch. While they were there, they unveiled the Small Processors Action Plan from USDA, which is going to help a lot of small meat processors around the country be able to purchase cattle from locally owned farms and compete with kind of the bigger guys you see out there that are focused more on the box beef. This is really going to provide a lot more nutrient dense and highly tasty beef to Americans when they want it and where they can get it. This is just another example of Secretary Rollins working with Secretary Kennedy and the entire Trump administration to be promoting MAHA agenda. Recently, you saw Secretary Rollins also announce the stocking standards rule when it comes to the SNAP program here at USDA. And that is a rule that, once it fully gets put in place, requires stores to actually stock nutritious veggies, fruits, produce, meats, instead of actually counting jelly as fruit or beef jerky as a protein. They actually have to have perishable items on the books so that they can actually accept SNAP dollars, which is going to provide more options available to all these consumers out there that are relying on these types of programs to get their meals. So there's just a lot happening here at USDA. We're very excited to keep working with you all. Thank you for your help in promoting the Great American Cotton Plan. This is truly an incredible time to be here at USDA and continue to push for the MAHA agenda.
Thanks, Michael. Michael, we all heard in the movie The Graduate, decades back, that there was a future in plastics, and what we know now is that there is no future in plastics. There's a future in cotton. There's a future in healthy foods, in real foods. There's a future in a SNAP program that doesn't encourage people to eat unhealthy foods. So the work that you're doing and the work that Secretary Kennedy's doing, that's where the future is. The future is in taking our country back, taking our food back, taking our freedom back. And I'm just grateful for the work that you're doing and look forward to getting to know you better and to working more closely with you in the coming weeks and months.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you. Next up, we have Buddy Allen, and he is the president and the CEO of the American Cotton Shippers Association. And he also sits on CFTC's Agriculture Advisory Board and is a partner in A&J Planting Company, a vertically integrated agribusiness and real estate firm. Buddy got his start in the agribusiness finance genre, helping launch Covenant Bank. And, that's an agricultural focused community bank. And the White House named him a champion of change for agriculture, recognizing his work in sustainable farming and stewardship practices, and the capability that they had to boost productivity. So thank you so much for that great work that you've done in the past, the work you're doing now, and it's great to have you on the show.
Tony, thank you for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. This is an exciting time for the U.S. cotton industry, as you have described, as Michael has described so eloquently so far. You set the stage well for my comments. The last 5 years have driven our industry almost to a boutique status. We've seen farms fail. We've seen businesses fail. We've seen rural economies fail. They're dependent on the cotton industry. But better policy is creating a path forward, and we are so tremendously excited. The science and research community that you track so closely has delivered a revelation that microplastics are in fact incredibly harmful for human health. They're direct contributors to so many chronic diseases. And now we know that the largest source contributor towards those microplastics is synthetic fiber from textiles. Over 35% of all microplastic pollution comes from synthetic textiles. So this has created an acute opportunity for the U.S. cotton industry to enjoy a renaissance. So we used to enjoy more than 75% of total fiber consumption. Today, we're closer to 15%. So it's been a tremendous slip over decades. And now we plant our feet firmly on the ground and turn the trend and move forward. At the same time, we realize that U.S. consumers, while we're producing and exporting 12 to 15 million bales of cotton, we're bringing 20 to 25 million bales of equivalent and finished goods back. But only about 1 out of 4 of those bales of cotton that Americans are consuming are produced in America in the most controlled, safest, responsible, sustainable production system in the world, where you and your stakeholders who care so carefully about these types of things have access and transparency and a democratic process to have influence over those systems. So that's got to change. We've got to leverage the power of the U.S. consumer to support the U.S. producer, to deliver the best products in the world to Americans, to make America healthy again, to your overall objective. Hence the development of the Buy American Cotton Act. It's our flagship legislative agenda to deliver these products made from American cotton to American consumers. It gives incentives for brands and retail groups to put those choices on the shelf, to create that opportunity for consumers to make the best decision possible. And in parallel, under the leadership of National Cotton Council, the development of the Plant Not Plastic campaign, which Michael recently referenced, it's really facing consumers to help to educate them about the risk associated with microplastics and the relationship between microplastics and synthetic fiber. So we couldn't be happier with the progress that's been made in the last year, in the last quarter, in the last month, in the last week. It's just building to a crescendo that we're really excited to be part of. Our claims became validated by the administration when Secretary Kennedy and Administrator Zeldin launched the STOMP initiative, the systematic targeting of microplastics. And so many of the things that we have been leveraging got escalated by that broader endorsement, which was right in preceding of Secretary Rollins, as Michael just mentioned, announced her Great American Cotton Plan. We are profoundly grateful for Secretary Rollins, her endorsement, her passion, her energy, her reach, and the way she has elevated these issues. The plan is sound. We're excited to be part of its development. We're excited to be part of its implementation. I would be remiss not to thank Kelsey Barnes, her senior advisor, who has made herself a student of our industry in developing ways to deliver solutions for the resilience of the U.S. cotton industry. So it's been a wonderful partnership between USDA, HHS, EPA, the list goes on, and now MAHA. So thank you for that. Our solution is really, really sound. We're addressing economic health, environmental health, and human health simultaneously. There's your MAHA action trifecta for the cotton industry. We see the finish line, but we've got to execute. We've got to pass this legislation. We've got to educate the consumer, and we've got to deliver reciprocal trade for cotton. As I said, we're bringing back far more than we're exporting in raw material. We've got to leverage the power of the U.S. consumer and put the safest and the most preferred product in the world in the closets of Americans. So, Tony, thank you for having me today.
Thanks so much, buddy. I mean, that's crazy that we're bringing in 20 to 25 million barrels of cotton from other countries. I mean, no way should we be doing that. Clearly, we should be making it here. Clearly, we can do a much better job. But, it seems like great progress. And, you're part of a war on plastics, on microplastics. And we should all be part of that war. And we want to, fight that battle with you. So, thanks for the work that you're doing, and look forward to working with you to bring cotton home and to make people healthier.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Senator Rand Paul, and he's the U.S. Senator from the great state of Kentucky. He's been an incredible fighter for free speech, for medical freedom, for real science that serves everybody in this country. And he's been a warrior against corrupt corporate science. So, Senator Paul, has been a strong backer of the whole MAHA movement and our goals and our principles. And he's also the author of a terrific book called Deception, the Great COVID Cover-Up. Welcome, Senator Rand Paul.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me. I'd like to use my time today to talk about the tenure of my friend.
Can't hear you.
All right, let's start again then. Can we unmute? Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we hear you.
All right, great. I'd like to use my time today to talk a little bit about the tenure of my friend Marty Makary as the FDA commissioner. For a change, we finally had a champion who wasn't beholden to corporate America. I think he's really been the perfect embodiment of someone who follows the truth, not simply what the authorities say the science is, and really not what Big Pharma tells you you're allowed to say. And I don't think you'll see him going through the revolving door from government, from the FDA to the boardroom at Pfizer or these big pharmaceutical companies. Marty wrote a book called Blind Spots, and when medicine gets it wrong and what it means for our health. Marty tackles some of the sacred cows of the public health establishment, ranging from peanut allergies to unwarranted obsession over saturated fat in our diet. Even during his short tenure, Marty was able to enact some much-needed reforms to the FDA. He created the National Priority Voucher Pilot Program to shorten the drug approval process for some drugs to only 1 or 2 months. Now, all drug rejection letters are made public to make the FDA decision process more transparent. He also released the roadmap to reducing animal testing to implement my FDA Modernization Act 2.0, which eliminated the animal testing mandate for FDA approval. This is a big change from when I was in medical school, when everything was done by animal testing and it was actually mandated. I think over time, people's sensibilities have changed, but Marty was part of enacting the law that I got passed, and we're proud of him for enacting those changes and trying to change things. He spearheaded reforms to eliminate artificial petroleum-based dyes in our food, and also helped introduce the new food pyramid to ensure the government recommends real protein instead of processed carbohydrates. Marty spent his whole life taking on the big healthcare special interests that have ruined our healthcare system, and they will continue to fight tooth and nail for any reforms that would make healthcare a free, transparent market. We must demand that the next FDA commissioner has the same MAHA credentials as Marty, or we will simply return to the pay-to-play businesses as usual that leaves Americans sicker and poorer. So I think we should all thank Marty Makary and hope and wish that he stays active and involved. Thanks a lot, Marty.
Yeah, thanks. Rand, thanks for all of the incredible work that you've been doing. And it's so clear that we have to be able to have freedom of speech in this country. And, we have to be able to make the arguments that we think make sense and that we think the real science points to. And so, the work that you've done really backs that, really helps that, and really makes it more difficult in the future for the government or for big corporations to lie to us and to get away with it. So thank you very much, for the continued work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Dr. Robert Malone, and he's one of the most important voices for medical freedom and informed consent. And he's been really key to exposing corruption in our medical establishment. He's a doctor, an inventor, a scientist, a bioethicist, and a journalist. And he's also the author of a whole raft of books, and has an upcoming book called Homesteading for Health. It's an incredible book, and I urge you to look it up, to pre-order it, and to think about it. Thank you so much, Robert, for coming on again.
My pleasure, Tony, and thanks for the promo. So I've got good news today. We all hear about all the negatives that are going on, how bad things are, how messed up the administration is, all of this negative news. Now, you've probably seen the headlines about President Trump's new executive order on childhood vaccines, and you've probably seen how the media is spinning it. So let me tell you what's really going on, because it's bigger and it's better than they want you to know. At first glance, this order looks like it's about vaccines. It isn't. It's about something much more important. It's about who gets to make those decisions in the first place. For decades, that answer has been the same. A small, insulated group of advisory committees, professional societies, agency insiders, and pharmaceutical stakeholders. People you never elected. People that you can't vote out. They've been setting national health policy from behind closed doors, and one committee's recommendations automatically triggered insurance rules, Medicaid obligations, school mandate conversations, and what your own doctor was allowed to tell you. That's not science, that's a monopoly. And here's the good news. President Trump just took the first real step to break it. Now, the critics are already screaming that this order is anti-vaccine. That's the easy headline, but it's wrong. A far more honest word for what the president did is anti-monopoly. Let me be clear about something because it matters. Vaccines are one among the many successful tools of public health. The eradication of smallpox is one of the finest achievements of the human race. None of us dispute that, certainly not the secretary. Nobody seems serious in denying that. But acknowledging those victories does not mean we owe blind faith to every single recommendation that comes after them. It doesn't mean we stop asking questions. And friends, we all lived through COVID. We watched the experts make confident declarations that quietly changed later. We watched good, honest doctors get silenced for asking reasonable questions. We watched conflicts of interest get waved away. We watched our kids get caught up in mandates for products still under emergency authorization while we were told to trust and stop asking. Trust doesn't work that way. Trust is earned. It's earned through transparency, through open debate, through accountability. It is never earned by shutting people up. So what does this executive order actually do from President Trump as of last Friday? It restores the proper order of things. It says that advisory committees should go back to doing what the law always intended, which is to advise, not to set policy. And the people we actually elect, the people who answer to us in the ballot box, those are the people who set the policy and take responsibility for it. That's not radical. That's just the Constitution working the way it's supposed to work. You can support vaccines and still demand truly independent safety monitoring. You can support vaccines and still call out conflicts of interest. You can support vaccines and still believe that parents deserve a real say and that doctors deserve room to use their own judgment. That isn't anti-vaccine. That is exactly what genuine scientific accountability looks like. Here's the bottom line, and it's the best news of all. For years, they told us that this conversation was settled, closed, off the table. With one signature, the president reopened it. He put people back in charge of their own health. This order doesn't end the debate. It does something even better. It guarantees the debate can finally be had out in the open. And that, my friends, is a very good day for America and a very great win for MAHA. Thanks for listening and for having me on.
Thanks so much, Robert. You know, it's just great points that this EO is a step forward back towards real science. And, you know, anti-vaccine, that word, that's just a corporate talking point. I mean, we need to be able in this country to question absolutely everything, and we should question everything. And blind faith in authority, that's about religion, not about, you know, science or representative democracy. So, you know, that's what this is all about, and that's what that EO really stands for. So thanks for coming on yet again, and thanks for all the incredible work you've done, and for being just a champion and a warrior for MAHA.
Always my pleasure, Tony, and keep at it. Don't let it rest.
Never. Next up, we have Leigh Merinoff, and today, you know, MAHA is bringing chiropractic into the heart of this movement. This is a prevention-first, drug-free, hands-on care, and the largest profession of its kind in this country. And it's exactly what we mean when we say Make America Healthy. So, there are 70,000 chiropractors in this country treating nearly 30 million people. And we're done managing sickness and reaching for the prescription pad. This is about building health, getting people off opioids, getting people off drugs, thinking about which vaccines, if any vaccines, people need to take, and giving families real choices, real alternatives. So today we're launching the MAHA Chiropractic Hub. And to walk you through what we're building, I'm going to, hand out to the MAHA Center, hand you over to the MAHA Strategic Initiatives Chair, Leigh Merinoff. Leigh is the owner and operator of the Meadows Bee Farm, which is a biodynamic farm, making raw milk in their dairy in southern Vermont. And she's also a board member of MAHA Action and just a tireless fighter for MAHA causes and for the MAHA movement generally. Thank you so much, Leigh, for the work that you've done and for coming on today again.
Great. Thanks, Tony. I really appreciate it. I always love when I get a chance to be on. But today, this is a really special day for all of us. But let me just say that before I began any of this work, I am a mother, I'm a farmer, I'm an educator. I live in a very rural part of Vermont. I have this center where we teach families and children about food, health, agriculture, and self-reliance. And right there on our farm, we actually had a chiropractic office. So for me, chiropractic was never some abstract healthcare policy issue. It was really part of our everyday life. And I watched as our local chiropractor would have families come in with pain and chronic issues and health concerns. And I saw how chiropractic actually could become a first line of support, helping people to heal and avoid drugs and really improve the quality of their life. But over time, I saw something different. I saw that chiropractic represents a different approach to healthcare, one that really focuses on supporting the body rather than immediately medicating symptoms. So, Tony, over a year ago, when you asked me to help lead this effort for MAHA, I felt strongly that I agreed with you. And I wanted to see if we could bring bring chiropractic into the MAHA movement, because it represents exactly the kind of prevention-based, drug-free healthcare Americans are searching for right now. So a year ago, I began really learning more about the profession, beginning with my good friend, Dr. Vicki Dubin-Master, who's the one that had brought the chiropractic care onto my farm. Since then, she's gone on to develop the chiropractic working group and writing a weekly newsletter, connecting the voices across the profession. But along with her, several other people from the profession shared their time and insight with me and helping me understand the process. And so I'd like to just take a moment right now to thank them, because through their openness and their dedication and commitment, they helped shape this from the beginning. And, I felt a real kinship from the first time I met the huge group of chiropractors in the profession. They were open with me and honest, and they told me a little bit about the profession's challenges. And I quickly realized that this isn't just another political initiative. The chiropractic hub really gave us the chance to bring our MAHA mission to life, because we are here today to launch the MAHA Chiropractic Hub as a coordinated partnership between MAHA Center, MAHA Action, including the national associations and the state organizations. Following our meeting that we had in Washington, it became clear that we could join with them and help at a federal level. Our goal is simple. It's to help support chiropractic as an essential, evidence-informed, prevention-first component of a sustainable American healthcare system. And now, to speak more about that and how you can get involved, it's my honor to introduce our next speaker, our new Executive Director of the Chiropractic Hub, Brandon Hoffman. Brandon has been an important voice and leader within the chiropractic profession, bringing both a passion and a deep commitment to advancing patient-centered prevention first care. He's been instrumental in building connections across the profession and moving our vision forward. I'd like you all to please join me in welcoming Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you, Leigh. I am honored and proud to serve as the Executive Director of the MAHA Chiropractic Hub. Leigh shared where this project and coalition started and where we are headed. My job is to execute on how we get there. So let me first start by sharing how I got here. This profession is my family. My father is a chiropractor, so are two of my uncles and my cousins, and I grew up in my dad's practice. My earliest memories are of people walking in tired, hurting, and out of options, but then walking out with their life back. I saw the natural healing power of this work. I also saw how my dad fought to have chiropractic taken seriously. As a kid, when I said my dad was a chiropractor, I'd sometimes hear, "Oh, but he's not a real doctor." That confused me because I had seen what he did to help thousands of patients. I learned early on when someone has lived with chronic pain and finally finds relief, they don't care about the title on the wall. They care that they got their life back. That conviction has driven my career across insurance, media, education, and policy. The belief that every American deserves comprehensive care where drugs and surgery are options, but they're not the automatic first-line standard of care. Now, let's talk about the priorities of the hub. The infrastructure exists. The support exists. Now we begin the execution. For 2026, we have 4 priorities that advance the hub's mission. First, a national public education campaign so patients and policymakers and employers understand what we can do to build a healthier America. Second, modernizing Medicare through the Bipartisan Chiropractic Medicare Coverage Modernization Act, giving seniors the full scope of chiropractic care that they are trained on without providing drugs and surgery. Third, expanding care and choice for our service members and veterans who deserve the absolute best options after their service to our country. And fourth, building more robust research and grant opportunities. These priorities are part of a broader 3-year agenda across 8 work streams. We are not building this for a single announcement, a single bill, or a single Congress. We are building durable infrastructure so this profession never again waits for permission to have a seat at the table. This is the difference between a moment and a movement. The hub is only as strong as the people behind it. It is a dynamic platform. We will continue to grow it, built to represent chiropractic as a whole, not any one group. So I am asking you for 3 things. First, visit the hub and sign up for our newsletter. Second, engage with us. Lend your voice, your expertise, and your patients' stories. When this profession moves together, it becomes impossible to ignore. And third, invest in this work. Now is the time. Belief without action does not change a system. The question is no longer whether this profession deserves a stronger voice. It is whether or not we are ready to use it. Today, thanks to Tony, Leigh, and the entire MAHA team and the work and camaraderie they have poured into this project, we finally have a platform, the partners, and the momentum to secure the voice for patients, families, veterans, and seniors together. I'm giving this my full effort, and I expect wins for this entire profession and for MAHA's broader goals. Next, it is my honor to introduce someone who lives this every single day. Dr. Tony Ebel has helped countless families think differently about health, especially for our children. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tony Ebel.
This is truly on behalf of the Chiro MAHA Working Group, Vicky, the whole crew, and seeing this Chiro Hub come alive today. Can't thank you all enough for this opportunity to serve. And I got to put this in there right out of the gates. Congratulations to soon-to-be Iowa Governor Zach Lahn. I'm from the Cyclone State, grew up on a farm. I've seen those issues firsthand affect my family's health. And so I just can't wait to see Iowa continue to lead the way. Go Cyclones. So, I think most people think that if you choose chiropractic or the natural health route for your family, you have to completely abandon conventional medicine, that it's one or the other. You're either a Tylenol family or you're a natural, holistic, hippie, living in a van, homesteading down by the river family. Well, we live in a world today where it seems like all these folks are obsessed with choosing sides and focusing on that either or. But I think in a lot of cases, especially this one in healthcare, both and is often the best, especially for our kids. My son Oliver illustrates this perfectly, as he's honestly a medical and chiropractic miracle. Oliver was born with a very traumatic birth. He suffered a hypoxic brain injury, battled persistent pulmonary hypertension, and he started having seizures as an infant. He was placed on ECMO, which is heart-lung bypass, to keep him alive for 5.5 days. And he had more surgeries and more medications than I could even care to count. And I say all this to clearly state this truth. Modern medicine saved our son's life. Their skill, their brilliance, their technology, their interventions, truly indescribably awesome. And I'm forever grateful to this modern medical miracle and the system doing exactly what it was designed to do, save our kid's life. But there's another reality that is also true. His initial trauma and the side effects of all those medications that they wanted to keep him on proactively with medications was quite a grave prognosis. Those same medical experts gave Oliver just a 20% chance to live to the age of 1 and a 99% chance of having lifelong neurological challenges like epilepsy, autism, and cerebral palsy. And they only said 99% because it would have sounded pretty rough to say 100%. And that's where the chiropractic miracle side of Oliver's story kicks in. Chiropractic care doesn't handle emergencies. We don't look to take over for modern medicine. We have an entirely different perspective and place in this healthcare system. Chiropractic care works to repair, restore, and rebuild health naturally, neurologically, and drug-free. I was able to adjust Oliver 2 to 3 times per day while he was in the NICU. And we literally saw his heart, his lungs, his MRI and EEG, his entire brain and nervous system heal over a matter of 6 weeks in ways that the MD struggled to explain. I don't say that as a criticism. It's just hard to make sense of something that was never part of your training. Oliver today is 17 years old. He's an all-conference track and state cross-country runner, thriving in school, and he never had a single seizure or developmental delay once those 2 miracles, the medical and chiropractic miracle, were complete. And that's the whole point I want to drive home today. It was never either or for my wife and I. It was always both and for our kiddo. And that's where I see so many families and patients stuck right now. They want a proactive, drug-free, natural approach, first having access to things like chiropractic, but they get so much pushback from their pediatrician and the medical system. These parents are not anti-medicine. They're just exhausted because their kids are sick, and so are they. They don't always want medications first. Very few do. They want to save those for the last resort. They want the chance to first address the root cause and do so naturally and drug-free if the option exists. And they do. They really don't care who's right or wrong. They just care that something works. They just want their child to heal, plain and simple. And what they want is everyone working together for the best of their child. They realize that each kind of doctor and practitioner serves a specific purpose, just a different one. And that's why this chiropractic revolution and the launch of the hub with the support of the MAHA crew is so insanely important. It's chiropractors who truly take the time to listen. We work in partnership with our patients and their entire care team. We don't work as sole dictatorship. We work not just to adjust our patients, but we educate them, empower them, and build a community of like-minded families and other natural practitioners around them. So here's what I believe with everything in me. Every parent, every family, every patient should have a team of doctors working in collaboration, not competing, not siloed, a team working around the whole child and the whole patient. And if we sat down and constructed that perfect team for one struggling child, I'll tell you where we should start. The first door a family walks through should be the neurologically focused pediatric and family chiropractor and PX doc. Why first? It's the safest, lowest side effect profile option out there. And it's proactive, not reactive. We're not waiting for the crisis. We're building the foundation before the storm ever hits. The foundation of health is the nervous system. It runs everything. It's the mom of the body. It knows everything, runs everything, keeps it all coordinated. But when that system is dysregulated, each downstream system, one at a time, gut, immune, endocrine, goes offline, and now there's symptoms from that. So instead of chasing each symptom or working on an individual system, chiropractors work on the foundation that restores and rebuilds where all of that comes together. And then we take that education and empowerment piece so seriously that we help redesign the entire trajectory of the whole family. We shift our patients' lifestyle, and we can help transform a whole community towards a genuinely healthier way of living. And if you take that one child story and think bigger for just a second as we close this session down, if we build that team correctly, proactive care first, crisis medicine when needed, every provider doing their best in the right order, we haven't just helped one family, we built a blueprint. Because that exact same model scales. Foundation and nervous system first, collaborative, proactive instead of reactive. You run that model across a whole community, a whole state, a whole nation, and that's what actually changes healthcare. So that's the revolution we're talking about. It's not about tearing down medicine. It's about reordering the system so the right care comes first. I'm living proof it works. Oliver is living, thriving, living his best life proof. And he's here today because a team of doctors, both conventional and chiropractic, each played their part at the right time. Medicine saved his life. Chiropractic restored it, rebuilt it, and gave him one. That's not either or, that's both and. That's the future of healthcare. And it starts with every family finding their team, beginning with a nervous system focused chiropractor. Leigh, Brandon, Tony, MAHA crew, thank you.
Tony, wow, that was great. You know, and it's such an important point that we don't have to choose between chiropractic medicine and, you know, so-called mainstream medicine. And, you know, doing it in the order that you described, it's going to save us money. It's going to get us better health outcomes. And that should be our goal. That is the goal of the MAHA movement. So thank you so much for coming on, for clarifying things, for making that incredible argument and telling us what a way of doing things is that is going to lead to better outcomes.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, we have Dana Parrish. And Dana was a chart-stopping Sony songwriter at the peak of her career when a tick bite in July 2014 upended her life. And, you know, more than a dozen New York City doctors failed to identify the cause of her rapidly declining health, which led to fibromyalgia, severe anxiety, insomnia, even heart failure, until she was finally saved by Dr. Stephen Phillips. So together, she and Dr. Phillips co-authored the best-selling book, Chronic, The Hidden Cause of the Autoimmune Pandemic and How to Get Healthy, once again. So shining a light on the infectious roots behind a wide range of autoimmune, psychiatric, and neurological conditions. So today, Dana serves on the Bay Area Lyme Foundation's advisory board and hosts the Dana Parrish podcast, where she continues to advocate for patients navigating chronic disease. So thanks so much, Dana, and great to have you on.
Thank you so much, Tony. It's great to see you, and it's great to be here today. And thank you so much for inviting me to speak at MAHA Action. So as you mentioned last week, I told my story. I stood next to Secretary Kennedy and talked to him about how I had a tick bite that nearly stole my life at the height of my career and the prime of my life. I went into heart failure and I had all the symptoms that you mentioned and more. I definitely thought that I was going to die. There's nothing like losing your body and your mind at the same time, piece by piece, and not knowing how to get it back. It's like the ride that you're on that you want to get off and you don't know how. So Dr. number 13, Stephen Phillips, who I co-authored Chronic with, He saved my life. 12 New York City top doctors said it wasn't Lyme. They didn't acknowledge the other infections. I had been treated with 3 weeks of doxycycline right after my bite. I had a little bit of a rash. I was treated very quickly, but within 5 months, I was in heart failure. And within the couple of months prior, I had all the other symptoms. So it failed. I think I need to make the point that oftentimes even treating early doesn't work. Also, if you're not exploring all the other infections that people can get, it's very, very likely that doxy will fail. It's very, very possible that doxy can fail. And that's what happened to me. So all this press and all this national talk about Lyme has really brought this one dose of doxycycline prophylaxis into the public spotlight. There was a big heated debate on Twitter. I woke up to find I was trending along with some physicians who were pro one dose of doxycycline prophylaxis. I am anti one dose prophylaxis because it really fails a lot of people. So I just want to talk about that very briefly. World-renowned experts like my doctor, Stephen Phillips, and Dr. Joe Burrascano, who's a very, very famous doctor as well, have been really clear. Single dose doxy does not clear Lyme, and it doesn't clear any of the other tick-borne infections, and they classify it as malpractice. It doesn't kill Lyme. It doesn't penetrate the tissues or the brain. The duration is too short. The original studies only showed that it prevented rash. Once you prevent the rash, you've really muddied the waters for people to get an accurate diagnosis down the road. So it's it's something I really feel passionately about because I don't want people to go through what I went through. Prevention obviously is best. Subtherapeutic doses like one dose can also turn your test negative when you are still positive. So that's another whole issue. And so the CDC knows, and they should know, this is a failing strategy. Please change your guidance. Please update your website with better guidance. A couple of weeks for a tick bite of doxycycline is probably going to get patients much, much better outcomes. This is what the leading physicians in the field tell us. So prevention is everything. Spray your shoes with permethrin, take showers, do tick checks. It is an explosive season. You guys must have heard about all the alpha-gal that's happening. It's terrifying. It's really weird. I agree. It's all those things. But today, I came here with a lot of hope because this administration is listening and they're taking Lyme so seriously. And we're also appreciative. Senate Secretary Kennedy and HHS launched meaningful initiatives, a multi-million-dollar tick control pilot program starting in New England, aiming for 25% reduction in Lyme cases, new LymeX innovation challenges with $2.5 million more, patient-informed awareness, treatment repurposing, alpha-gal syndrome research, and crucially, new public-private partnership with iLads that brings experienced clinician locator tool to the brand new HHS Lyme website, hhs.gov/Lyme. So patients don't have to keep searching for doctors blindly. It's right there. So thank you so much for doing that for us. I just want to shine light on the heroes who never had to wait or never were able to wait for government help because it really didn't come. The Bay Area Lyme Foundation, of which I am an advisor on the advisory board, raised and invested tens of millions of private dollars with no taxpayer funding into diagnostics, preventions, biobanks, cutting-edge research. They funded studies showing that the current FDA-cleared tests mix the majority of early Lyme cases. They supported the next generation of scientists and kept patients' voices central. To this administration, we want to work with you. We would love to align our private innovation with your power to help solve this growing and just ever exploding crisis. Lyme is the perfect example of what MAHA is fighting for: chronic disease driven by environmental causes, decades of institutional dismissal. Just want to thank you guys so much. To everybody in this room, please visit hhs.gov/Lyme, share your stories. We want to hear from you. We support you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dana. Thanks. That was really great. And the idea is that prevention is so key, and it's so great that HHS now is really focused on Lyme, and like you, they want to get to the bottom of it. They want to have better treatments, early treatments. They want people not to suffer in the ways that you suffered. And there has to be a way to do that. And we all need to stay open to ideas and to things that may lead to better outcomes. So thank you so much for all the incredible work that you're doing.
Thank you. And I know we have close mutual friends who are also involved in the cause, and you've been such an advocate and champion for us. And I know this wasn't necessarily something you were going to take on when you first got into MAHA, but thank you. You've done a remarkable job, and we really appreciate you.
Thanks, Dana. Next up, we have Dr. Eric Berg, and he's known as the Knowledge Doc, and he's earned that title by being a globally recognized health teacher with over 45 million followers in multiple platforms. So for over 3 decades, Dr. Berg has helped people understand how the body works and how they can help it work better, practical strategies for better health. So he's an incredible thinker, writer, researcher, as well as being one of the key group of MAHA visionaries who is helping push this whole movement forward. So thanks so much, Eric, for all the work that you've been doing, and great to have you on for the 22nd time.
Thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate it. I remember waking up in the morning with my neck completely sore, like I just worked out really bad. I'm like, what is going on? And I look in the mirror and there's this huge bullseye thing in the back of my neck. And so when I get tested, I had Lyme, and this is a long time ago, and I decided to initially start the antibiotic route, and I felt like the inside of my body was like a wash machine, and it was like, this is not good, I'm getting off this. So I did alternative things, dealt with it, got through it, but Lyme can be devastating to people, so I want to touch on that. Nearly 500,000 people a year, 500,000 Americans are told that they have Lyme every single year, but half of them, basically, when you get diagnosed, a lot of times the standard tests missed like half the cases. So half the cases are not even diagnosed correctly. They come out negative, and then you go into clinic, and the doctor says that nothing's wrong. So you start going to alternative care, and you try to figure this out, and it's really, really devastating for people. So basically, for decades, we've been running on this system where people are given this rigid 2-week program where you get a tick bite, 2 weeks of antibiotics, you're cured, move on. But the bacteria that causes Lyme, Borrelia, does not really care about that. It burrows deep into the body. It's a spirochete. It goes into the joints, goes into the nervous system, goes into the brain tissue, starts developing antibodies like an autoimmune situation, and then builds up this whole biofilm. So it's very intelligent. It has certain survival strategies, and one of the biggest ones, I don't know if a lot of people know this, is that it downregulates your vitamin D receptor by a factor of between 50 and 80 times, because somehow it knows that if you don't have enough vitamin D, then your immune system shuts down. So that's one of the things that if someone doesn't know about that, they're going to be struggling for a lot longer, because if you shut down that receptor for vitamin D, the normal amounts of vitamin D don't work. So you need a lot more. So you're going to need blood levels of probably 80 to 90 nanograms per milliliter, because the typical 30 is just a joke. So that's kind of one survival strategy that it does. But it's really exciting that HHS is now doing some serious research on this, fighting this. They launched a $10 million diagnostic prize to replace tests from the old ones in 1990. A $2 million AI sprint is also going to be helping patients with this invisible illness, which is going to be great. A massive tick elimination program is going on, which they're planning on reducing the ticks by 25%. By year 2035. So a lot of good things are happening, including funding this alpha-gal syndrome thing, which is really weird because it's a tick allergy that affects your immune system in like 500,000 Americans who no longer can eat red meat without going into shock. So that's really, really exciting. So in the meantime, as they're figuring this out, I think there's a lot of natural things out there that people can do. And also with doctors that specialize in this, that you need to find someone that really understands this problem, because a lot of doctors don't. But again, I'm emphasizing vitamin D because of what the tick does. And there's other things too. I've talked with some people in the naturopathic field about this, that it gets great results as well using things like cat claw, which has been used for thousands of years. Also, oil oregano does wonders, and also Japanese knotweed apparently has a lot of research behind it too. But I think if patients are given the choice, they can pick what route they want to go. Initially I took the standard route, but then I went alternative and I did fine. So you really just need to have that choice. And of course, don't forget about garlic as well. But the good thing is that this era that we're told that it's all in your head is officially over.
Thank you, Eric. And, one of the things that I was thinking is that, every time I watch one of your videos or I talk to you or hear you on this show, it just gives me new ideas and it makes me think about things in ways that I didn't think about them before. And, that I think is, that's clearly why 45 million people listen to you, and the idea isn't always that you would give an answer or that anybody would give an answer that would apply to a particular person. But the idea is that you open things up and you make it possible to look at things in different ways. And that kind of questioning, I think, will always lead to better health outcomes. The idea that anything is ever settled is, just unscientific. And you really make that clear. And I've made so many changes based on the things that I've learned from you or researched after watching things that you've posted. So I just want to thank you personally. And I'm sure that all the people watching this feel, the same way. So thanks again.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Tony.
Next up, we have Dr. Joel Bohemier, and he's a chiropractor in Naples, Florida, and a member of our MAHA Chiropractic Working Group. He's the co-founder and director of Stand for Health Freedom, the co-owner of greenmedinfo.com. And he's here to share an urgent message that affects NIH funding for all things MAHA and, what you should know and what you can do about it. So thanks so much, Joel, for coming on.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for giving me the opportunity here to share this urgent message with the MAHA community today. Basically, I'm here to ask everyone watching for your help, and I'm going to show you how you can help the MAHA movement today. Because this Friday, the House Committee Appropriations Subcommittee is meeting to draft the 2027 federal budget. And on the chopping block is the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, the NCCIH, which is the only NIH center in the entire federal government dedicated to researching non-pharmaceutical approaches to health. So we're talking about the science behind chiropractic care, acupuncture, nutrition, gut health, detox, supplements, homeopathy, naturopathy, meditation, yoga, cold plunges, red light therapy, and so much more, like everything most people on this line do. So this matters because research drives policy. And if we want to expand MAHA-friendly policies, research helps tremendously. It's also what gives patients and providers like myself the evidence that we need to make truly informed decisions. Like without that research, we don't have real informed consent. We just have basically one-size-fits-all pharmaceutical narrative stuff that's pushed as the only option. And we want more options. That's the whole point of MAHA. NCCIH, by the way, is the one federal institution that actually takes natural healthcare seriously. It funds the research to counterbalance the overwhelming flood of big pharma science. So, and now they want to eliminate it entirely? Like, that's weird. And it literally only represents, listen to this, 0.3% of the NIH budget. So NIH is like $54 billion a year. This represents about 170 billion, which sounds like a lot, right? But 99.7% of the budget is paid for pharma stuff and only 0.3 for everything else like nutrition and supplements. Right? So this is happening. It's weird because it's happening under a MAHA-aligned administration, one that was literally elected on the promise to make America healthy again. So eliminating NCCIH clearly does not fulfill that promise. I think it tells millions of Americans who found healing through holistic means that their healing doesn't really count, that it's not worth studying. So clearly we reject that, and we should all expect this administration to reject it as well. Right? So here's what this really comes down to. We want our tax dollars invested in whole body health and the full spectrum of health options, not funneled exclusively into drug development. All right, so here's what I'm asking from you today. At Stand for Health Freedom, we've created a super simple call to action that takes just a couple minutes, like literally 60 seconds to 90 seconds. There should be a QR code on the screen right now. Just scan that QR code or go to standforhealthfreedom.com. The link is probably below as well, this video, and send a direct message to your representative and tell them that you want NCCIH funded. By the way, you could actually use the preloaded script, or you could type your own message. But ultimately, we want to say, no, we want NCCIH funded. We want informed consent, which requires science on all options, not just the ones that come in a prescription bottle. And tell them you want your tax dollars to fund the things that actually matter to you and that matter to your family. And then, of course, share it with everybody you know. You know, time is of the essence here because the subcommittee meeting is this Friday. So the window is narrow, but I think if the MAHA community comes together and shows up right now, and I know we're going to do that, Washington will hear us. So thank you, the viewers, in advance for making your voice matter. And also thank you, Tony, for kind of being the hub so we can share all of this super important stuff that's going on to the rest of the world and to the rest of the country. We appreciate this.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. And it's a great point, that this is an administration that, generally we are in line with, and we really feel that they're doing good things. But we want more options. We don't believe ever in one size fits all. And we also always believe that you have to be allowed to question everything. So this administration is so much better than the last one, but it's not perfect. It's not always right. And we can always question it. And that's something that we couldn't do in the past, that we got deplatformed, that we got censored if we did. So now we have the opportunity to have our voices heard and to have them heard in ways that can really have a positive impact. So in this case, please, all of you watching this, listen to Joel, contact people, we will follow up. We will tell you what to do, how to help. But, this is one of those things that we can really change. We can have an impact on. And that's what the MAHA movement is here for, not to be a rubber stamp, but to question everything and to bring real science to a government that for far too long was against science, was just, for corporate corrupt science and just for backing of a small number of multi-billion-dollar companies instead of the American people. And now we are here to defend the health of the American people. So thank you so much, Joel.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for sharing, Tony. Appreciate it.
So thank you all for joining us for, I think it's the 28th MAHA Media Hub, and for tuning in, each of these weeks. And as always, thanks for all of our speakers for their insights, their dedication, their contributions to the MAHA movement generally. And, we at MAHA have incredibly powerful tools at our fingertips. But the biggest one is our ability to question everything. But so, that questioning comes in a whole bunch of different forms. But one of them is through the MAHA report on Substack that has something like 220,000 readers now. And there we get all different perspectives. And, that's what's so critical to the MAHA movement, to have all different perspectives, all different stakeholders. And you get the same kind of thing with the MAHA Institute roundtables, where people, where all stakeholders come together and they discuss things and they try to reach some kind of consensus at the moment for what the best science is at that moment. In September, we're going to have the historic MAHA Summit. It was so great last year. It's going to be even better, even more impressive this year. Then we've got the legislative tracker on our website. We've got MAHA films, MAHA books, MAHA parties. We've got a mailing list of over 2 million MAHA warriors. And then we've got, what may be our most powerful tool. And that's all of the people watching this show each week, because they represent millions and millions of followers. And, we estimate that they reach 200 million people each day all around the country. And we see what the impact of that can be. And we saw it with Julia Letlow in Louisiana beating Cassidy, and not beating him by a little bit, but beating him by 20 percentage points when he had 5 times the money. And we saw that with Zach Lane, where he had a fraction of the money, but he had authentic influencers, MAHA warriors, just coming out, showing up day after day and fighting for what's right. So we believe that Americans overwhelmingly want this administration to make it possible for us to be healthy, to make it easier, to make it more affordable. And, that's a war. That's a battle that we all need to be part of. And with your help, we think we can just achieve incredible things in the next 2.5 years. And we've already had great legislative, regulatory, and election victories, but we can have so many more. And we have to stay active and stay focused and stick together. So following this call, you're going to get an email with a recording of, each of the segments of this show and then, important calls to action. So please share our content as widely as you possibly can. That's our power. That's our strength. And, disagree with people if you want. Disagree with any of us, because that is the power of the MAHA movement, that we're open to ideas, that we can accept disagreement, and that we think that leads to better health outcomes. And then go to the Chiropractic Hub to learn more about the new MAHA Chiropractic Hub. So, we will tell you how to get to that website, and then support continued funding, like I said, like Joel said, for the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Medicine, Health. And then join our friends at Children's Health Defense for their CHD Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. next Wednesday, June 10th. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you all again next Wednesday at 4 p.m. and have a wonderful evening.
America's children are sick, and moms have been betrayed. The time for empty promises, long past. Now is a time for action. MAHA is the most powerful force of collective action in generations. The grassroots power of moms and activists has created an army of health warriors with more reach than all mainstream media combined. Together, we can end the chronic disease epidemic. MAHA's influence is reaching millions. It's reaching Congress. And that energy, these chain reactions, are working.
How about Operation Stork Speed?
Dozens of food companies removing toxic ingredients.
I plan to lead by example.
MAHA is now.
We're talking about how to change the culture.
The American people want America healthy again.
It is a renaissance moment in health in America.
For health, freedom, and the truth. Join us at MAHA Action.